had no idea I had that kind of power. Really, I'm really taking it.
Yeah, wait. You're going to be on Twitter, folks.
Okay, 20 seconds, 20. And on behalf of Providence Health and Services and Providence Heart Institute, I'd like to welcome you all here today for these important announcements. With us today we have, on the far right from me, Dr. Jacob Abraham, cardiologist and medical director of the Providence Center for Advanced Heart Failure. Dan Osran, MD, is our executive medical director of Providence Heart Institute. But we begin with Lisa Vance, who is our chief executive for Providence in Oregon. Lisa?
Well, this is an incredible day to be the chief executive, I can tell you that, when there's fabulous things that we get to share, and we get to share it with our team. Very excited again. Thank you all for being here today. We are obviously talking about our cardiac programs here at Providence. We have a long history here of Providence, of excellence, and just last year we saw 370,000 heart patients through all of our Providence hospitals in Oregon. Providence today is the largest heart institute between Seattle and San Francisco with the most comprehensive services. So we really are setting ourselves up for a fabulous day. Now I'd like to introduce Dan Osran, who is our executive medical director for the Heart Institute, and he will give you the great news.
Wow. Well, as many of you know, approximately 4 years ago, the Providence Heart Institute received a $25 million gift from Phil and Penny Knight, which was then matched by the generosity of other donors to complete a $50 million campaign. These gifts, along with the support from our health system, were used to develop 3 centers of activity within the Heart Institute: Center for Clinical Care, Center for Prevention and Wellness, welcome to base camp, and the creation of a Center for Research and Innovation, highlighted by CARDS, the Center for Cardiac Analytics, Research, and Data Science. These centers have come to life, and our teams, many of whom are here today, have accomplished a tremendous amount for our patients. I am very proud of what they've accomplished and proud to work with them. We are truly a different organization than we were just 4 years ago. And as a result of these many accomplishments, I'm thrilled to announce today a transformational gift from Phil and Penny Knight of $75 million. This represents one of the largest gifts ever made in this country to a non-university hospital. This gift from the Knights will support continued growth and innovation in our 3 centers, as well as the development of a heart transplant program here at Providence. Since the suspension of the heart transplant program at OHSU, we have been providing critically needed services for nearly 400 patients who have previously undergone heart transplantation, as well as many, many more with advanced heart failure. We believe our state needs an established, comprehensive, stable, and sustainable program for these vulnerable patients. And we believe we are in a unique position to provide that care for Oregonians. I'd like to now introduce Dr. Jacob Abraham, who is our medical director for the Center for Advanced Heart Disease, who will share with you some of the important work we are doing and what opportunities this gift will allow us to pursue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Heart failure is a chronic and progressive illness that has reached epidemic levels worldwide. For older adults, it is the most common cause of hospitalization. Unfortunately, as our population ages and our treatments become more effective, those numbers are actually expected to rise. Over the last decade, Providence has developed a very cutting-edge heart program, thanks in no small part to the generosity of donors like Phil and Penny Knight. Our treatments for heart disease have evolved rapidly. In 2011, we began treating the sickest patients with mechanical heart pumps, or LVADs. You've seen this before. The LVAD is astonishingly high-tech, but to care for patients living with an LVAD also requires the warm touch of many, many hands. I am reminded daily that I work with a world-class team of cardiologists, surgeons, palliative care specialists, other medicine specialists, nurse coordinators, social workers, nurses, dietitians, therapists, and administrators, all of whom make it possible to provide this incredibly complex care. In the last 6 months, as our heart failure team began caring for even more Oregonians, including those awaiting heart transplant outside of this state, it became increasingly clear that Oregon needs and deserves to have a local option. While we have enjoyed close partnerships with our colleagues in Washington and California, the logistical, financial, and social barriers imposed by relocating to another state critically limit access to an already limited therapy. We are therefore deeply honored that the Knight family donation will accelerate the launch of a heart transplant program here at St. Vincent. In the end, when you guys are all gone and the cameras are off and the lights are off, we will remain laser focused on providing the best care to our patients, no matter their stage of disease, and including those who require a heart transplant. Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Osran and Dr. Abraham. It's just fabulous to be able to have them be so committed to our community and the work that we're doing. Before we open this up to questions, there's a few things I'd like to reiterate. One, the gift from the Knights is transformational, and I wish that Phil and Penny Knight could be here today to see this wonderful crowd of people we have. But we just want to thank them very much for what they're going to do to change how we take care of patients. A reminder, too, that this is not a new program. This builds on years and years of excellence and a leading heart program in the Northwest. Also, our decision to open up a transplant program is for the people of Oregon. It's not about money. It's not about ego. It's about caring for the community. We've had many conversations with OHSU, and we hope that they continue. But today, with the care that we're providing and the commitment that you heard from our two leadership physicians, we want to move ahead with building our transplant program. Our bottom line, as you heard from our physicians, is that we believe our communities need access to a quality and sustainable heart transplant program, and we intend to do that. On a final note, we would not be able to do this without the incredible leadership that we have at St. Vincent, our leadership team, our wonderful Heart Institute staff. It chokes me up actually a little bit even to look over there at you today. Thank you for all you do. So now we'll open it up to questions. Thank you.
How far out are you from starting this or getting this heart transplant program started?
We already have a significant amount of the infrastructure we need. We have Jacob's physician team includes 4 other physicians with advanced heart failure training. A 6th one is coming this summer. We do need to recruit an additional transplant surgeon. I anticipate, and that recruitment's already started. We're already in conversations with potential candidates. I would anticipate it will be 6 months to a year before we can formally start the program. There's regulatory issues as well.
When you say 6 months to a year, are you talking before like the first patient comes through and all that? Today, OHSU announced that they're restarting their heart transplant program. Can you comment on that as far as the competition and then having a second hospital? I mean, them being the first, you being a second?
Not really. Today's about Providence and what we plan to do with the Heart Institute is, as Lisa said, we have been in conversations with them about opportunities for collaboration. I anticipate those conversations will continue. But today is about what we're planning to do, and we are planning to start a heart transplant program.
And this isn't a joint venture with them, right? This is your own separate?
Not today.
No, I just want to make sure that that's the way it's that I read it.
What will this allow Providence to do for patients out there who are watching this and maybe will be affected at some point by this, what will this allow you guys to do that you haven't been able to do yet?
Well, I think what we've seen by not having a local option and a stable local option is a lot of our patients are actually quite disadvantaged having to travel to Seattle or to California for evaluation for heart transplant. After a patient has a heart transplant, they are typically required to stay in that city for 3 months. For patients who don't have the social or the financial support to do that, that can be quite difficult and a real impediment for them. So again, having, I think, a local, high-quality, stable program is critical for Oregonians.
And I know just a couple months ago, you guys really stepped up when OHSU couldn't. Did that light the fire? Did that open your eyes to this need?
You know, I think a couple of things. I mean, it's not as if our eyes were suddenly open. We've been building, with Dr. Abraham's leadership and others on his team, a pretty dynamic and large heart failure program. We have been doing the full complement of therapies for advanced heart failure except transplantation. Yeah. Other questions? For me, Dr. Abraham, Elizabeth.
So you had said that you discontinued the transplants in 2011 because of low patient volume. Would that be an issue again, you think, especially if the OHSU restarts?
Yeah, I really don't think so. I mean, we're a much different organization than we were back then. At that time, we had 1 advanced heart failure doctor. We've got 6 now. We have a larger population of patients that we've been caring for with advanced heart failure who have LVADs. So we don't anticipate that that's going to be a problem for us.
How many of these doctors that were at OHSU, I thought I remember reading like one of them could come here, you guys were recruiting one of them. Of those 4 that left, did you guys were able to attain any of those? Or
one of the physicians who was at OHSU currently works for us at Providence.
The other 3 didn't?
Correct. Any other questions?
Beyond recruiting a transplant surgeon, are there any additional positions you're looking to bring on as well?
I think there will be some administrative infrastructure that will be needed to sort of round it out, but I think what we've realized over the last 6 months taking care of these 400-plus patients is we've already built a lot of infrastructure in terms of coordinators, navigators. I'm sure that there will be more to do, and we will be laser focused, as Dr. Abraham said, on getting it right and having a very high-quality program.
And with OHSU restarting their heart transplant program, what impact do you expect that to have on your patient load here?
I don't think a lot.
Elizabeth?
Can you talk about how the gift came about? When did the discussions about that start? And was it initiated by you or the Knights, or how did that happen?
You know, as I said in my opening remarks, the Knights made a $25 million gift 4+ years ago, and over the last 4+ years, I'm in regular but not constant communication with the progress that we've made and the things that we have been able to accomplish as a result of that gift. This current gift really, the conversations really started earlier this year, frankly, even before the closure of the OHSU transplant program.
Did they kind of take on more urgency after that? Or?
I can't say that they took on more urgency, but perhaps more clarity.
Dr. Austin, one over here.
I have a question for Dr. Abraham, if he doesn't mind. Just talking a little bit about patient care and what patients can expect, once this program really gets up and running. What options are here for them throughout the whole process?
Sure. Excuse me. As Dr. Osborne alluded to, we already provide essentially the entire portfolio of heart failure therapies currently. It is true that across the world, heart transplantation is a relatively small volume procedure. There are only about 2,500 to 3,000 transplants that are done in the United States. So in terms of absolute volumes, this will actually remain a relatively small program, as all heart transplant programs by definition are. But as we've alluded to, it just means that for patients in whom that is an option, whether instead of an LVAD or even after an LVAD, they won't have to travel outside the state to be evaluated. They won't have to relocate during the transplant process. So that's, it's really about easing the way of patients.
Other questions?
I just want to make sure I understand. So there were some patients that were helped out because of the OHSU closure last summer. So now does that mean that some will, if they were originally working because of that OHSU announcement, some were originally working with a different doctor, are they going to be going back? Like, how does that kind of all play out?
It's always up to the patient where they want to be taken care of, and we certainly always facilitate that. I will say, and probably Dr. Abraham, Dr. Gilo, some of the other physicians can speak more directly to it, but our teams have really stepped up to, I think, make these patients who felt that they were orphaned, that they have a home. Now, they are welcome to find another home if that's what they choose, but I think it's unlikely.
In terms of OHSU now restarting their transplant program, you've got this research hospital and a community hospital here with transplant programs. So what is going to be your focus going forward here at Providence? And what would you say to these patients about the care they would receive here and how it should be different?
The management of advanced heart failure and heart transplantation is a clinical enterprise. And while there may be research studies that complement that clinical enterprise, it is primarily a clinical enterprise. And so I think what is most important to us is that we have a program that provides outstanding, excellent clinical care, and that will be the thing that I think should be most important to patients seeking this type of therapy.
You said you already had a lot of the infrastructure in place. You said you were also looking to hire doctors. And I apologize if you said this already. Are you planning on adding like an extra wing or anything like that to the hospital to support this, or is this just taking like a different spot that's already? I guess how? Yeah. Where is this going?
We're often the full house here, to be perfectly frank, as are most of the hospitals in the city, especially during flu season. We do have some plans for building some extra capacity internally in our hospital. To be perfectly frank, we were planning to do that regardless of this particular initiative. This particular initiative probably highlights the need for that.
Any more questions? Anyone? If not, let me say thank you to Dr. Osrin, Dr. Abraham, Lisa. I do want to let you know we have heart failure patient here who's available to speak with you following the tearing down and everything that goes on here. We also have cardiac rehab patients available. Lisa Helderop, where are you? You are over there. You can see Lisa, a member of our PR team, to meet up with those folks. With that, thank you for coming. It's an exciting day here at Providence. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah. Actually, maybe we should get the background there.